So our final kind of transformation is a reflection. And a reflection is simply flipping our graph about either the x-axis or the y-axis. Okay, so in particular, the reflection in the x-axis, okay, that's everything flipping upside down. So if there's my graph and we want to reflect it about the x-axis, well, that means we want to shift everything about this axis here, which means we want everything down that way. So we can see all my positive y values have become negative y's. So we can see that in our notation here, we can see that all the x values, so x dashed y dashed becomes, well, x doesn't change, the y values become negative, okay? Similarly, if we're reflecting about the x-axis, about the y-axis, it means that everything, oh, that's not the one I wanted. Say that's our graph. Let's get a proper pencil. If I want to reflect it about the y-axis, it means I want to reflect it about that axis there, which means I want it to go that way. So the x values have become negative. So note the difference. Reflection in the y-axis means it's about the y-axis, so the positive x values become negative x values. So what we end up saying there is my x dash y dashed becomes negative x positive y. Okay, so if we consider the graph of the square root of x, just look at that examples. If we reflect in the x-axis, let's keep the same process. X dash y dash becomes, so in the x-axis means my y values become negative. Okay, so again, my x dash is still equal to x, my y dash is equal to negative y, so that means my x is equal to x dash and my y is equal to negative y dash. Once I've done that, I can put that into whatever rule I'm interested in, which in this case, so if y is equal to root x, my reflected or my transformed graph y dashed is equal to the square root of x, so y is equal to negative root x, which if we think about that graph, that's root x. Negative root x is just going to be turned upside down, isn't it? There's negative root x, that's positive root x. All right, so we're reflected about the x-axis. All right, if we bring that out here, reflection in the y-axis means about the y-axis. So we'll end up with my new x and y values become about the y-axis means my x value has changed. So x dashed is equal to negative x, y dashed is equal to y. So that means simply that x is equal to negative x dashed, y is equal to y dashed, substituting to whichever rule we've been given. So if y is equal to the square root of x, my new graph, y dashed, is equal to the square root of minus x. So what that graph tells me is that graph is only going to be valid for x values that are negative. So if that's the square root of x, well, the negative root x is going to be that. In other words, if I put the point negative 2 into there, minus 2 is a positive 2 and I can work it out. All right, have a go at those.